When working with table datasets, it's good to know your data types of your atomic vectors or your variables or columns. The good thing about R, unlike most other languages, is that R will automatically infer the data types of columns when reading a dataset into R. So you don't need to manually tell R the data type for every single column. But it's really important to know your main data types so you can check what kind of values you're working with when modeling data or when casting it as a certain data type. So let's first look at your numeric types or numbers that measure things in your data. So you can get a whole number or an integer. You can get a number with a fraction or a floating point number. A floating point can be more than one number before or after the decimal point. Something to note, when printing the result of a floating point number, R usually rounds this up to 5 places after the decimal point. So it won't just print, an infinitely long set of numbers after the decimal point. You can also have negative numbers. And so the same basically applies. So R classes all these kinds of numbers as one data type called numeric. So if you use the class function here, and you give it any of the numbers that we've mentioned, you'll see that it's classed it as numeric. Another common data type you're going to often see in many datasets is character. So this could be a single character, or it could be a string of characters. It could also be a number represented as a string. All these are classed as character in R, so if we use the class function again, and we give it any of the string characters, you'll see that it classed it as character. You can also use double quotation marks so that words with apostrophes are not incorrectly interpreted as single marks around a string. So for example, orange using an apostrophe. Another way you can write this is to use the escape backslash to read it as a literal apostrophe and not a quotation mark around a string. So for example, won't. So the data type character can be used for text strings or unique names of things. Otherwise, they can be casted as factor levels or categories. Later in the video series, we'll discuss the R object factor. Logical or Boolean data types are also common, so where there's kind of a true or false value, so the presence of something or not. So for example, a variable on benign cancer might show its values as some people to be true in having this cancer and some people to be false in not having this cancer. So if we input true or false into our class function here, you'll see that it probably classes it as a logical data type. And that's it. You now have an understanding of the main data types you're likely to get in your datasets. The next video, we're going to cover variables.